I'm very optimistic. Okay, so as I was mentioning, September has been good. It's bringing back in terms of mood, good vibes. People are very, very happy about it.
Well, hello and welcome to the latest edition of EW Sessions. I'm really delighted to be joined from India today by an old friend and the current UFI President, Anbu Varathan, who is also, of course, the Director General and CEO of the Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association, which, amongst other things, runs the Bangalore International Exhibition Centre and is a major organizer in its own right. So, Anbu, welcome. Many thanks for being with us today. Maybe we can kick off with an update of where we are now in terms of the situation in India and exhibitions beginning to take place. So perhaps you could update us on that to start with.
Thank you, Paul. It's lovely to see you after quite some time, and I'm happy to be here. Okay. When you look at the Indian exhibition industry, in a normal year, the industry would organize about 550 shows. So last year, 200, in the year 2021, when you look at, we had almost 95% of the shows getting impacted. Either they were canceled or they were postponed. Okay, so there was a huge impact coming from COVID. But this year, the Q1, that is April, May, June, the same trend continues. But the Q2, I think especially September, definitely is looking much brighter. And we've had just recently a major show happening in our venue. See, the IIJS, it is called the Gems and Jewelry Show, Indian International Gems and Jewelry Show, which was about 70,000 square meters in terms of total size, and had almost 1,300 exhibitors and 50,000 visitors. Okay, this is the fifth largest, show in the gems and jewelry area in the whole world, and they had such a, good response from not only exhibitors and visitors, but actually from the B2B, results as well. So, which gave a big boost to the entire Indian exhibition industry. And I'm particularly very happy about that, because we are seeing this, sort of an outcome after almost 18 months of nil activity. So, and I'm seeing this to continue in the next few months as well, especially when you look at Bangalore, and almost 15 shows are lined up between now and March. And if things are quite all right, so we should see all the 15 shows happening in the next 6 months' time. And I see a similar, kind of preparation in other venues as well in India. So the second half of this financial year should definitely bring in a better cheer for the Indian exhibition industry. So I'm very, very hopeful about this year.
Excellent. Well, that's great to hear. Lovely to hear that you had such a positive response to that big relaunch event. And I mean, what sort of measures are in place? I mean, I think we chatted a little earlier about this. You say the organizers and you as the venue are still taking quite a number of quite strong measures to sort of build confidence and make sure that these events are safe. So maybe you can talk us through a little bit about what you're doing in India at the moment to make sure that the events are safe and people are confident about coming back.
Yeah, this is an important aspect of Paul, and I feel that we need to still follow the SOPs very, very carefully, and this is shared by all my colleagues in the Indian exhibition industry. And this particular show, for example, all SOPs, whether it is social distancing, mask, wearing the mask, or hand sanitization, and sanitizing of house quite regularly, and additional measures for food courts and toilets and things like that. they were all followed in addition to having temperature control and things like that. Additionally, what the organizer decided to do, which we supported very strongly, was everybody, exhibitors, visitors, the entire, supply chain, players, security, conservancy, all the venue, staff, they allowed only the fully vaccinated people. That means people with 2 doses of vaccination, they were allowed, or people with one dose with RT-PCR test, they only were allowed. So it is not back to normal like the olden days, but then it is back to normal with adequate caution, adequate precaution. So, which worked absolutely fine. I think this is what would be followed in most of the venues, in India. I think at least for this whole year. I think in my personal view, we need to follow this for the next 6 months, maybe up to a year, and then we can take a call on that. We can actually have a back to normal kind of a feel, but if we just take extra measures, to follow some of these basic things, then I think you see end results which are very, very encouraging.
Yeah, I mean you're lucky, I guess, in India that your market is sufficiently big that you can have a great big exhibition like that without with very few of the international participants. Because I think we're right in saying, aren't we, that in terms of the international component of events, that's still very limited, if not taking place at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so there are 2 aspects here. When you look at exhibitors, you definitely see reduced participation. But those players who already have presence in India, those overseas, they can take part. So it is primarily the overseas participation with officers and setups who are already in India again. So difficult to travel, especially in this period. But I'm sure this will resume very soon. But visitors, they had certainly a reduced numbers, but then people did travel from about 10 countries with adequate precaution and RT-PCR tests and vaccination and things like that. But then a very small number of, out of 50,000, they had about 500 people or so coming from different countries. So, which is, okay, I would say a long, early part of a long escape. So we need to go a long way from this. Yeah. But then things are happening.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your own organization. It's an association, and obviously over the last 12 to 18 months, you haven't been able to organize your own events or host other people's events in your venue. But how have you managed through that time? I mean, what sort of activities have you been able to do, while the regular event activity in particular wasn't taking place?
Okay, that's a very interesting aspect, Paul. I think it's important, in my view, to be in touch with the stakeholders. In our case, it's membership. So we are a membership-based organization. We have 5, divisions: policy work, research, etc., training, events, and then trade shows, venue-related business. Okay. So the last 2 obviously were down for the last 18 months. Okay. Except just in this month, September, we've been able to have a major, trade show. But then till then, that activity was done. But then it gave us an opportunity, to be in touch with the customers in a bigger manner, to be in touch with membership, because the first 3 became super active. Okay. And we would have, I think we've had almost more than 100 interactions with both membership and on behalf of membership with the government. On variety of measures, whether it is, cash flow issues or lockdown related issues or reopening and supply chain issues, or, the material costs going up, export related, so we had variety of issues to deal with on behalf of the membership. Since we are a membership-based organization, that became super active, which again helped the members to try and come back to normalcy in a much more efficient manner. And it also gave a very good connect with the membership. Okay, so I'm hoping to cash on that a little later. So the other area was training. We normally do 200 training programs in a physical mode, but then we did 220 programs on the digital platform. Okay, so we had to, be innovative. We had to find a platform which can really deliver, these, values. But then we actually had more number of people attending because it's on digital. Okay,
Yeah.
and they were technical programs, so we're able to deliver that as well. And all our other major events, the conferences, things like that, they were all converted to digital platform. So this actually gave an excellent opportunity to reinvent yourself and to be in touch with your membership, which is the main stakeholder for us. But when we looked at the trade shows, we also did a show on the digital platform. But then we defined the values very clearly. It's an opportunity for all our members or the exhibitors to be in touch with their own customers or the visitors, on the digital platform. The deliverables were, very well defined, limited. It cannot deliver the same face-to-face, results the way that you see in a trade show. But then they were very happy about, those kind of, values as well. So this is the way that we transformed ourselves to be in touch with the, community or stakeholders or membership. This is very important. Otherwise, you can be down, but then very difficult to get up. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you are engaged with customers, I think when you're getting up and then running, they are going to be with you all the time.
Very good. Well, let's hope so. Now, you've already talked a little bit about how you see the next sort of 6 to 12 months with the industry in recovery mode. I mean, how do you feel, or what are you looking at the moment in terms of the prospects for the industry in India in general, in the sort of the medium to long term? COVID behind us, hope in a year or so we're pretty much back to normal. A lot of people were quite upbeat until a couple of years ago about the opportunities in India. Do you think they'll come back? Are we going to see a lot of growth and opportunity in India in the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
I'm very optimistic. Okay, so as I was mentioning, September has been good. It's bringing back in terms of mood, good vibes. People are very, very happy about it. When I look at the next few months till December, at least about 100 shows are planned in the country. So in our own venue, I can see when I look at between now and March, we have 15 shows lined up, 15 to 18 shows lined up. So in my view, all these shows should happen. There is no further disturbance. And then we look at the whole industry up to March, we would have anywhere between 150 to 200 shows. Okay, so we should have a very healthy H2 in India. But then when I look at the next few years, the medium to long term, that's very important. So we must always keep the big picture in mind. I always talk about the big picture because exhibition industry is an enabler segment. So you don't have our own growth in isolation. We have the growth based on how we enable other sectors to grow, how we enable our other stakeholders to grow. If you look at the Indian economy currently this year, I think we would be at $3 trillion GDP in terms of overall size. When I look at the medium to long term, middle of this decade, I think we should be touching $5 trillion, US dollar in terms of GDP size. By end of the decade, or 30 to 31 or 32, we should become a $10 trillion, economy. That's a super size. As part of it, when we look at manufacturing alone, from the current position, we should move to $1 trillion US dollar size manufacturing economy by middle of this decade, and perhaps 2 to 2.5 trillion manufacturing economy by end of the decade. As part of this entire growth, the government is doing variety of measures to bring in, enabling environment, to bring in investment, to have faster growth, and to have innovations, to have startups and things like that. And then when you look at the individual sectors, you see variety of sectors showing dynamism, right from electronics to defense manufacturing, aerospace, chemical, pharmaceutical, healthcare equipment, IT, IoT, you mentioned anything. So they are all talking about higher level growth because what they lost, some of them in COVID, they don't want to, they want to gain back. And then the whole country is looking at this as an opportunity for faster growth, both government and industry. So that's a super opportunity. Now, we know that very well. Exhibition industry is an enabler segment. It provides a platform, an ecosystem, for these sectors to come and play. So what is it that can happen? So when they look at this higher growth, we're talking about innovations, we're talking about new products, we're talking about new designs, we're talking about new technology observations. They all need to converge, in my view, at the show. Okay, so that's it. That's the role of exhibitions. I'm very excited about that. And they will also have the customers coming in. That means they would get a feedback, a clear market feedback. And the competitors being there, they will also get an opportunity for benchmarking. So this entire churning, entire activity, of course, let's not forget the R&D and academic institutes, students and government, so all these people converging. Okay, I could see that already in this show. It will happen in a much bigger manner in the future. So this economic activity, this activity will lead to much better economic activity and a faster, revival, and also a higher level of, business transactions and things like that. When that happens, once again, you need to come back to innovation, new products, and so this will be a cyclical economic activity with a role of exhibitions. When I look at the next 10 years and plus, I'm so excited about it, the opportunity coming from India, from this huge growth possibilities. So I think we don't have to worry too much about what we lost in COVID. Let's look at the next 5 years, let's look at the next 10 years, and then see what best we can do, what best we can deliver. But this dynamism, this growth opportunity will not happen on its own. The individual shows, the show organizers, and then those stakeholders need to really look at the opportunity, take all the right measures, and then sky's the limit in my view. So I'm more optimistic about that scenario.
Very good. Excellent. Well, that's a fantastic upbeat view of the prospects for the industry in India, and I think many of the things you've said as well apply to the prospects for the exhibition industry worldwide. And before we wrap up here, obviously, we should take a couple of minutes, certainly, to talk about the exhibition industry worldwide in your current role as well this year as the president of UFI. And we're just coming up in a couple of months' time now to you handing on to your successor, having had perhaps not quite the year that you'd imagined when you originally agreed to take on the role, but give us, perhaps, without stealing the thunder of what you're going to be saying to the UFI members meeting in Rotterdam in November, but perhaps sort of give us a bit of a flavor of how you think UFI has done, sort of the contribution that UFI's made to the industry sort of surviving and recovering over the last 12 months while you've been the president.
I think it's been a challenging year for UFI as well, Paul. I think we all can appreciate that. But UFI has delivered in an excellent manner in the given circumstances. It was also an opportunity for UFI to reinvent itself in terms of, using technology, leveraging technology, using the new delivery models, and also, new, the staff and the UFI team and members going through that process as well. So at the end of it, if you look at UFI has delivered in terms of being in touch with membership, in terms of delivering values to membership, much higher than what we would have anticipated in the beginning of the year. Okay, we've had any number of UFI Connect programs, more than 60 or 70 programs, and number of research reports on variety of topics, particularly on the market feedback, and also on revival of the exhibition industry, and also on subjects like sustainability and things like that. And also in terms of COVID preparation, whether it is the market tracker, or it is in terms of SOPs, and in terms of how we can look at the restart, in terms of what the leadership and then the management can look at, in terms of coming back. I think there's been enormous effort from UFI in terms of helping membership, helping industry. So that way, I'm more than happy with what has happened on UFI front. And I also mentioned in my initial talk about revival, a restart, and then leadership, and then technology, and also being in touch with the community. I think UFI has tried to touch each one of those aspects through their approach and then delivery of the programs. And I think going forward, I think we would also be a more and more responsible industry. So the COP26, the frameworks are emerging. So in addition to being all this, UFI also is having a roadmap for future. How the entire exhibition industry can also become a net zero carbon industry segment. So I think COVID has impacted, but I think industry might appear to have been lost a little bit of momentum in this 1 year, this 18 months or so. But then I think I'm sure we will be back in most markets. You can already see September has been a good month for the global industry. Rotterdam should really bring the momentum back. So I'm hoping for a very good Rotterdam event.
All of us too, absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you there in Rotterdam. Anbu, thank you so much for joining us today and spending some time talking through your thoughts on India and indeed the world exhibitions industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. It's been wonderful, I think, talking to you after almost 2 years.